So in this tutorial, I'm going to go over a refresher on the different methods of factoring, and our first one that we can use is factoring by GCF. So what I mean by GCF is finding the greatest common factor. So the greatest common factor is the biggest number that both coefficients in the polynomial are divisible by, and it's the most amount of variables or copies of a variable that we can take out of each term. Right, so we want to use GCF in any polynomial that we're checking for factoring as our first method. If we have two terms in our polynomial, we always want to try to factor by the GCF first. So in my example on the left, I've got 24x squared minus 10x. So starting with my numbers, if I want to find the GCF for 24 and 10, right, I can write out my list of factors here for 24, and then I can also do the same for 10. And looking at these two lists of numbers, we can see that 2 is the biggest number in both of these lists, so I know that 2 is the GCF of the coefficients 24 and 10. So when we factor out the GCF, we want to divide each term by the GCF. Right, so taking care of my coefficients, I know that each one is divisible by 2, and I also know that each term has an x in it. So I can go ahead and divide out an x from each term as well. So the GCF of this polynomial is 2x. So I want to write my GCF on the outside, and then I'm going to go ahead and divide each term by that GCF and rewrite the polynomial inside those parentheses. So for the first term, I have 12x left over, and then for the second term, I'll just have 5. So I have 12x minus 5. So go ahead and try out the example on the right, write it down in your notes, and then we'll go over the answer tomorrow at the beginning of class.